When we decide to do a new production, the artistic director chooses the opera piece of repertoire. And then he appoints a director for the project. And then the next step is to appoint a producer, which is what I am, and I will see the whole process through from the beginning of planning through to the first night. And it's all like a big jigsaw puzzle. It's a big, complex crossword sometimes too. The drawing office is a very integral part of the company because they will draw up the plans for the construction workshop and then they deliver a final model with all the finishes and all the props included.
And the model is the reference that the director and designer will always use to visualise what they want in each scene, so they can move the people about, they can put figures in, they're very tactile with the models.
Once the model's been built, I work with the construction company to make sure that the design is implemented to the director's requirements. The design has to fit a budget and has to fit into the theatre.
Grand Macabre was absolutely massive, far bigger than could ever fit through the door, so it had to come into multiple pieces, arms, legs, bits of head, bits of torso that could be brought in and then put together on stage as one large sculpture.
What you see of the stage is only a small part of the workings of the theatre.
That's Rodelinda, and that is. The back of that is Rigoletto.
This is Rigoletto, this is its running space on stage. We have Rodelinda storing up stage, and we have Peter Grimes collapsed down in the stage right wing.
Over the weekend will be the first time where the director designer has ever seen this in situ. They may have seen elements of this built in the workshops and they will have visited it, but they've never seen the whole thing put together. So they will come in and stand there and see whether it works or not.
Once we leave the rehearsal room, we come into the theatre and we do several days of piano stage rehearsals.
My job comes to a great head of steam just as we hit the stage. We go into a lot of stage rehearsals over a very short period of time, but over very long days.
Because you have full costumes, you have full lighting, you have full crew to change all the scenery in real time. Everyone is behind the production. It's a complete collaboration. It's props, the lighting department, the music department, the set department.
I always love getting on stage because you've done usually 4 to 6 weeks of rehearsals and everybody, including the cast and us, have reached the stage where they're ready for the next level. So it's usually very exciting. It's also usually very scary because you have a limited amount of time to get it right. Let's cue 223, video cue 200 and sound cue 200. Go.
Magic Flute we've just done with Simon McBurney had a Foley artist being a sound effects artist. We also unusually had a video effects Foley on stage right, which was doing live video effects. More and more we're doing shows that incorporate multimedia.
I think the most unusual one I've done required focusing 50 lamps that were rigged on our technical gantry at the back of the stage that isn't normally part of the performance infrastructure. And we had 50 lamps on that focused to 50 mirrors on stage, and that was odd.
It was a new production we did a few years ago of Billy Budd. Took I think it was upwards of 25 people just to do one move within one scene. And they were also, the crew themselves were in costume and they were part of the show. So when you came to the very dramatic battle scene, there were 8 crew in costume who were sort of moving around and being part of the actual action. The crew love getting dressed up, and there are certain members of the crew who you can't stop them getting dressed up.
We always have 3 shows on stage, then we have 3 shows in rehearsal, we have shows in the workshops and shows being designed.
You're doing 12 operas a year, you're doing 6 revivals, you're doing 3 ballet seasons, you're doing the outside events.
You could start working on something a year before and it will still be adapting, it will still be changing right up until the first night.
I think a lot of the stage management who work here thrive on that slight nervous excitement.
opening night is one of mixed emotions, relief that we've got to the first night, but also great excitement.
I love it. I've worked in opera since I was 17 years old.
Some of the things we've done, have been remarkable.
And sometimes you can even be moved to tears by the general emotion of the moment. And that's rather extraordinary when you've worked on a piece for 2 years.